and a rare good morning greeting from the Grade A Flicks channel. Good morning, everybody. Hope everybody's having a good morning. Hopefully, everybody, if you're on the East Coast, weather-wise, you got to work safe. Very foggy, very rainy outside. Other than that, enjoy the rest of your morning and the rest of your day. Hope it goes smooth. This is Grade A Fantasy, ready to preview the tight ends for Week 15 FanDuel main slate. Let's get right into it. So, off the top of the board, hey, the reason why, if there's anybody that's been consistent pretty much all year with a few hiccups, it's been Trey McBride compared to Brock Bowers. The question is, will Trey McBride get a touchdown? I mean, the man has so many targets. Like, look at this, 14, 12, 15, a few dips of 5 and 4, 11, 7, 8, 9, 6. He has consistently given you fantasy points, and without the touchdowns, he doesn't have the upside of Brock Bowers. Does he get the touchdown this week? That's the big question. But he does have a solid matchup against New England. I'd like Jonnu, but he does have a tough matchup against Houston. But like I said, he is not a full fixed measure into the Miami offense. He should be considered at 69. The funny thing about this pick, I do like Kelsey because it is a good matchup at the tight end position, even though it is against a solid defense, well, solid front seven, because they do have linebackers and free safety that are capable to cover the tight end. But here's the weird thing about Travis Kelsey. 6,700 is pretty cheap for somebody of Kelsey's caliber. Now, yes, getting older. I think he, one or two 20-point games all season? No, only has one. Here's the thing, and here's a smart option. Cleveland is a good tight end matchup, but is this one of these options where do you take the big name that's at a decent price, or do you actually go with the trend and take somebody like Noah Gray, who's basically 2,000, basically 1,300 cheaper, who's lately been getting a decent amount of looks. It's not like he's getting like one or two and then gets a goal line and gets a touchdown. No, for a backup, he's getting solid looks. 5 targets, 6 targets, 4 targets, 5 targets over the past 4 weeks. 2 of those weeks over 50 yards, one of them over 60, and has 4 touchdowns in the past 4 weeks. Now, yes, hasn't had any touchdowns in the past 2 weeks, but he does get looked at and, has a little bit more explosive capabilities than Kelsey. So maybe it's Noah Gray that you want at a cheap price. And as you can see why I got to that early, the theme to me this week, you can pay down that tight end. Tight end is going to be a nice pay down spot this week as I preview it. Let's continue. Let's get the Chiefs filter out of here, and then let's go right back into where I was going. My favorite play this week, opposite that game, the team who's normally weakest against the tight end, and you're going to have an athletic, I think you have an athletic mismatch, plus with Jameis Winston being able to, yes, turn over the ball, but he's going to be able to push the ball. And I love David Njoku. He is my 1A, 1B. Everybody else is to me, a far second with his matchup. And Njoku at 6,500 is at an amazing price. Njoku should be 7,000 this week, but I'm definitely going to take advantage of him being 6,500. I mean, if you want to ignore volume, you can go right ahead. You don't even have to look at the fantasy points. Look at the targets: 13, 17, 5, 9, 7, 7, 14, 7. Even, ever since week 3, even with Deshaun Watson there, considerable targets. David Njoku is my number 1 play this week. I'm going to skip all the way down, though. Also, you have to watch out for Dalton Kincaid. Dawson Knox, an option if Kincaid is out again, but not the best matchup against Detroit. I think, if I'm not mistaken, Dawson Knox is right at 5,100, so definitely watch out for that. I like Laporta this week. Once again, even though it's a ranked third against the position, but once again, they do have good tight ends, but like I said, Laporta has the ability to work the middle and the flats, because once again, you have to understand, and that's the reason why I love Puka. There's a reason why I love Puka and Cup last week. They funnel everything in front, nothing deep. Laporta fits that moniker, so Laporta is definitely one of those that I like to point out that it's an option regardless of that opposing position ranking against that defense. But after that, everything's a pay down option from here on out, folks. Jawan Johnson, like I said, I did mention him last week. No Taysom Hill, so He's a very underrated red zone target, and he did get the touchdown last week. 5 targets, 4 for 50 with a touchdown. Did get 13 points, so basically almost 3x what his salary is this week, or probably did 3x what his salary was last week. The question is, does Jacob Hayner or whoever the confirmed QB will be this week, can they get it to him? He's an option at 5,500. So, and you do know sometimes, besides locking in on their favorite wide receiver, tight ends and dumping it off into the flat is what backup QBs and maybe even third QBs like to do to, keep their options safe and not turn over the ball. So I do like that. We did just go over Noah Gray. Jake Ferguson, great matchup against Carolina. Back healthy after a couple weeks of injury. He's definitely an option against what's positionally the worst ranking tight end defense. But like I said, for the third week in a row, I will mention Carolina has been playing well, but he is an option. Pat Frymouth, it is a tough matchup, but for his cheap price, as you can see here, how Russell Wilson has been targeting him. 3 targets, 7 targets, 4 targets, and it goes up and down. But guess what? In the past 5 weeks, the man does have 3 touchdowns. So 1 touchdown with his semi-decent targets or whatever, or very lack thereof, he can still make value. I think even though he seems to be kind of, the odd man out, even though with no Stephon Diggs, it's kind of up and down and inconsistent, but it's worth the risk with a good tight end matchup in Dalton Schultz. Last week did get 7 targets, 5 for 61 and a touchdown. So 14.6 at a 5.53 salary, a $5,300 salary. That does work for me. He's also another option. Tucker Kraft is just a case of, does he get the target, does he not? Against Seattle, it's a semi-decent matchup, but he's consistently in the 5-7 with a dip of 2 and 1, but he'll stay with anywhere from a floor of 3, 4 to 6, 7 targets. And in the last 6 weeks, I think he has 6 touchdowns. So, like I said, some of these tight ends just, they may not boom for you, but they open up enough, because if you're paying for one of these guys who get 3, 4 targets and get 3 or 4 for like 36, 46 yards and gets a touchdown, and they're automatically doubling or 2.5x in their salary, you're able to pay up for that other running back you need and other wide receiver that you possibly might want. There's a lot of great options. One of my favorite pay down all year, and he's paid off multiple times. I say it all the time, and I don't know if you guys have been picking him, but Zach Ertz, no matter what it is, Zach Ertz is now 3 straight weeks with a touchdown. 6 targets, 8 targets, 7 targets. Before that, still getting 8 targets. Up and down with the targets, but he's now consistently getting the touchdowns. And 5,200. He was, if I'm not mistaken, he was 49 or 5,000 last week. So basically, with his stats, basically 2xing almost min-price tight end. 11, 12.8, basically 13, and almost 16 fantasy points these last few weeks. Please jump on that Zach Ertz train before it gets to, where it's not a bargaining now. Zach Ertz, the last 3 weeks of the season now, getting up to like 55, 57, close to 6,000. And then when it comes to great paydown options, I'm not going to lie. With Will Dissly out, because I did have a decent amount of Will Dissly. I had a lot of Will Dissly actually last week. What do I like here? Paydown options. Hunter Henry at 5 even. The targets are there. Arizona is a good matchup for this. 9, 8. Drake May loves getting into this guy. The question is, can he get it into the end zone? But 9 targets, 8 targets, 9 targets. Getting 6, 5, and 7 receptions. Had a dip at 4. Then went back to 8, 6, 9. He is worth the look at 5,000. But probably the best and probably going to be low owned. He looked good because there's a good enough sample size. He got to play for a half after the Will Dissly shoulder injury. And yes, I'm going all the way down to 4,500. Please pay attention to the name Stone Smart. Looks athletic, has burst to him, seems to have better separation. It does pan out this will pan out even better if Justin Herbert does clear, his injury. But the kid looks solid. 3 for 54, great run after the catch. I like him. And for the great tight end matchup that he's in against Tampa Bay, I think it's a nice GPP play that you can go for. He got his targets. He did get his targets. The few that he did in 1/2. So what does that mean? Just about the same. You're playing another team that's in the bottom 3 against tight ends. So what? 3 targets could turn into 6, 7 targets. And with his run after the catchability, he had very long range, good hands. Could he get into the end zone? Maybe, but 4,500, you don't need much. Pay attention to that name, Stone Smart. Disley is doubtful. I think it's trending more to out. I don't think he improves during the week, so definitely pay attention to that name, Stone Smart. And that is the tight end review, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you enjoyed this video this morning. Good luck with your research. I know some people are probably focusing on tomorrow's single game, which should be a good offensive show. But other than that, this is the tight end preview for Week 15 FanDuel Main Slate. This is Grade A Fantasy. Signing off.